Happy Flosstube Friday, friends. My name is Kari. This is Tiger Lily Designs. Welcome to Flosstube episode number 110. Welcome. Happy Friday the 13th to you, friends. It is September, Friday the 13th, and I am back for my weekly update of what I've been up to for the past week. Now, if you're new here, welcome. My channel is about cross stitch and quilting and knitting and just generally making with all the things, beautiful colored textile floss, all the things. So I hope you stick around to see if there's something you like. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks so much for coming back. Welcome. So today I have my table of contents, my agenda, as I love to do. We're going to run through it just to give you a little taste of what we're going to talk about today. I think it's going to be short, sweet, quick, because I kind of was monogamous-y about what I worked on this week. So there's not a whole ton of projects, not a variety, but a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So what I do have for you is 2 cross-stitch pieces. One is a WIP, and I did something new for me. I did something funny this week. Thought it would be fun to try it, and I'm super excited to tell y'all about it. And then I do have one cross-stitch finish. I still wanted it to be a fully finished, but I just couldn't find the right frame. So I do have a finish to share with you. And then we're going to dive into a little bit of chit chat still about the peacorn. Yep, if you know, you know. And then I've got some quilting goodies. So I've got 2 different quilt projects on the table. I'm going to talk about, I made some progress. I did some quilting. I've got some fabric, all the things. So hopefully that's something that you are excited about. So let's just dive into my first WIP of the week, shall we? Okay, so this one is in one of my keepers. This is a project I showed you guys last week. I pulled her out when I did a little reorg, a little cleanup. Let me give to the cover page. This is the Be Kind sampler. So this is Shelly's birthday start from last year. It's the double nickel birthday sal, October. So we're almost in the birthday month. So I actually have plans, thoughts, maybe of actually getting this cutie sweet stitch finished before next October, Shelly's birthday, because I'm going to pressure her to picking a new birthday start. So, I mean, she'll be down for it. She'll be down with picking a new birthday start. Everybody loves a birthday start. So, but I want to finish the last year's birthday start. And so what I came up with after I left you guys last Friday was as you can see, I'm using all the called for colored floss, which is normally not my MO. I usually brighten things up like it's my job. But this one, I stayed true to the vision that Stacy Nash had. It's beautiful. So I will link this chart down below if you want to go ahead and grab it. But this, I use all the called for colors. I'm stitching on cow fodder. Let me check my tracker card. Yes. 40 count Dames of the Needle cow fodder is what I ended up using. So it is 40 count, which is like my stretch of a comfort zone. I don't know. It's not easy peasy. It's not comfort stitching, but I can get it done. And because I have this goal of hopefully getting it done by next month, I was like, okay, not that I want to force myself to eat my vegetables, because it's not vegetables. It's a lovely stitch. I'm enjoying it a lot, but I have to come up with a plan. I work better with plans. I work better with goals and incentives to myself. I don't know. I want to try the assignment stitching. Anyway, tangent. What did I do? So what I decided, and I believe that somebody recommended this to me, and I kind of took it and adapted it and went with it, is, you know, there's the stranded day concept is not a new concept. Everybody's heard that, right? Okay, so, but this is 40 count. So I'm using 1 strand. So is it truly 1 strand? No. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. There are no rules. There are no cross stitch police. Do what you want. But what I decided to do was 1 strand, 6 strands. I don't know. So I'm using, like I said, that's all the called for colors. So it's all weeks, right? And because I'm using 40 count, I'm using 1 strand. Well, of course, I just take my needle and do the pull 1 strand off the card situation. And I'm like, okay, if I only do 1 strand, I'm going to get nowhere. So what I committed to doing for the last 7 days, so since I was here last, so full weeks, 7 days, whether I did it in the morning stitching or afternoon stitching or night stitching. Afternoon only happens on the weekends, and that really doesn't ever happen. But because I was doing something else, it's fun anyway in the studio. But So whether it was morning or night, sometime during the day, every day, I did 6 strands. Now, it wasn't all the same color because I had goals. Now, I actually do, because I took a picture every time, every day after each strand, after each day, which was 6 strands, right? But one 6-stranded floss, you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah, you got it. I took a picture. So let me see, with the intentions of making like this little snip, snip, snip reel. I don't know if I can pop it in. If I do pop it in here, here it is. If I don't pop it in, then go check out my Instagram, because I am going to go for the 7 little pictures. So I did go ahead and iron this because I ironed my finish anyway. So I made a lot of progress. Moral of the story is that makes a difference. Now, unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to put her away because I'm not going to say burnt out, but I normally don't stitch 7 days on the same project. I am not one of those type of stitchers. So I had the goal in my mind. I was like, I can get this border done. And I did. Almost. I mean, I connected the border, yay, and it met, and I didn't mess up. How fabulous is that? So as you can see, I went all around the border. It's super sweet. And I was doing all things that I have to count. So I did leave myself easy. So if I wanted to ever come back and just fill in this grass for a night or two, I might be able to do that. But everything else is counting. And oh, pickles. See all that text in the middle? I can't even begin to read what it says, even with my glasses on. It's all over one. So I shouldn't save that for last. This is what I'm telling myself. I'm putting it out here for you guys to hear. I should not save that for last. That is what I should do next. I'm not going to pick her up right now, though. She is going to take a break, take a breather, walk away. She got to a good point. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to finish her by October. But the point is, committing to one strand for 7 days made a big difference. Love it. It's going to be super sweet. So fun. So that was, but it was a fun little initiative, project, endeavor. I might try it again this next week. Just pick a new stitch or a new WIP. I don't know. I got a few WIPs. Here's my WIP library. I could go and just pick out another WIP and commit another 7 days to it and see where I get. That might be fun, because my other stitch that I worked on this week was a finish. Can you guess what I finished, friends? I finished Miss Delia. Miss Delia, she was speaking to. She is my colors. She is my girl, and I loved it. Easy breezy, so quick, such a quick stitch. The hardest part, which wasn't even hard, it just was time consuming. I had to actually commit to going to the computer and pushing the buttons and recharting. Was, if you were here last week, you remember I told you guys I wasn't going to stitch Delia's name. Super sweet. Love that. But I wanted to change this to someone important to me. So I did. And I recharted it and I stitched it and she's done. Like I said, this is the one I wanted to have fully finished. And what's awesome, before I show it to you, what is awesome, so I'm stitching this not using the call for colors. I did a full color conversion to the Vicki Clayton silks. It was 4 colors: pink, red, a green. You need like no green, and you need like no white to go around the border. So it's like a ghosty white. But the 4 flosses that I used were spools that were included in the Ann Richardson floss pack from Vicki Clayton that I used for my birthday sale. So if you were doing that's my sister's sampler, Ann Richardson, and you did it, or you've done it, or it's in your WIP pile, like you need 2, maybe 3 lengths of thread, because it's 6-stranded. I stitched mine on 36 count vanilla cream, I think is what it's called, by Atomic Ranch. So it's 1 strand over 2, super sweet. So if you're using 36 count, you ready for it? I was so excited to measure and come up with this magic math. If you're using 36 count, 4.5 inches wide by 6.5. So a 5x7 frame that's generous on the opening will work if you like a tight border. Sometimes when you buy, even though when you buy a 4.5 by 6.5, right? So when you buy a 5x7 frame, sometimes, you know, for the glass and the thuds, they do like an 1/8 inch round little overlay, right? And so that's what I need to do. Is I found one, it was 4 3/4. I needed the opening just to be a smidge bigger. So the one I found is perfect, but I need to, let me show you. So down in my stash pile of frames collection, I like to procure when I'm thrifting. I went to a vintage flea market that was at a church last weekend, 2 weekends ago. I don't remember. But I picked up this frame for like $1 or $2. It was super sweet. Now, of course, the reflection is going to be bonkers, but just see the gold inlay and all the things. And let me see. I got to show you this without showing you what's on my table because what's on my table is keepers. But then it's got a mirror back, right? Okay, good. Can't show you. I can't turn it all around because it'll reflect secret stuff. Okay, so, but it's just super sweet, but it's got glass on the front and a mirror on the back, but the size is perfect. So I have to figure out how to like take the insides out. I have to worry about that without trying to break the mirror and have 7 years bad luck and all the things. I don't know. So that was a little bit above my pay grade, at least for a quick little finish for you guys. Or I might go to the thrift store and see if I can find one that's not so hard. I don't know. It's a beautiful frame. But I finished my stitch, and that's what I want to show you. So here is Miss Delia. She is super, super sweet. Like I said, 4.5 inches by 6.5. She is just beautiful. Now, if you're worried, if you want to just get a 5x7 frame off the shelf and not have to worry about the tightness and all the things, bump up just a smidgen. And I knew this math when I picked my fabric, and I really tried to find a 40 count, because if you bump up to 40 count or 20 count if you stitch on Ada, she would fit beautifully in an off-the-shelf 5x7 frame. Like, no worries, easy peasy. But I did not have a 40 count fabric that was this light, creamy, that was going to let my pink and reds pop. All I had was like, I want to say old and crusty, dirty sampler linen and not bright and fun. So this is, and I wanted to start her like that day. There was no waiting. So I went with 36, just gave myself a little bit more of a challenge to find a frame, but that's okay. I can do it. No rush, right? But so she is finished. Like I've said before, I think for the last 2 times, my favorite part is the alphabet that goes around. So sweet. So let me tell you, I did personalize it. Yes. Okay. So you can see, first of all, so I personalized it with Linda Elaine. Linda Elaine is affectionately called, it's my mom. It's Tiger Lily's mom. I love my mom. I love everything she does. All the work she helps me so much. And, you know, your mom's your best friend, right? So I wanted her to be my first stitch that I put a name on it. So I'm super excited. I wish I had this done 3 days ago. 3 days ago was Tiger Lily's mom's birthday. So everybody say happy birthday, Tiger Lily's mom. Yay. And she probably doesn't want me to tell you, but she's my mom. So that's just, you know, how samplers work. You put your birthday on it. Sorry, Mom. So 1951. So my mom, Linda Elaine, and 1951 is her birthday. And September 10th was her birthday. So this is what I finished. So I'm super excited. You can see, okay, and so I did a little, I'm just going to like, this is the cards on the table, friends. See my A, E, I, O, E. See the little alphabet? So when I charted it and then I went back and stitched it, and I realized I was off a couple squares when with my charting, and I had already stitched this, and I'd already kind of, so I wasn't going to rip out all the vowels and move them all up. I decided go forwards, not backwards. Thank you very much, Jean from the attic. So I did remove and frog the A and the O, because those are the E and the L and the E were gonna bump right into them. So I did take those out, move those up, and I think it's great. I think it's my own. It's a pink. My mom's loves pink. She loves red. She loves all the things. So this was the perfect. I knew exactly whose name I was going to put it in. I just didn't want to tell you because she does watch my videos. So I didn't want to spoil the fun. Like I said, I wanted to have this framed and finished, and like, I'm not going to give it to her for her birthday because it's going to hang on my wall. I mean, unless she really wants it. But anyway, so that is my sweet Delia. She is so sweet. I love this chart. So those are my 2 stitchy finishes. Now I do have 2 giveaways from last video to share the winners with you. So if you were here last video, you know that Fat Quarter Shop sent us this great box of goodies and I shared with you. And I gave away 2 of the patterns last week. So I pulled the winners thanks to the YouTube comment picker random thingy. Yes. Spooky cute ornaments, so sweet. I know my friend Jessica, Sweetwater Stitcher, you need to go watch her because she was talking about it this week. I think maybe it's the exact same tree. It looks just like this tree. She got it at Michael's. I almost had to like play hooky this week and go grab it, but I didn't. Although I might have to go get that haunted house thingy. I don't even have anything to put in it. Stop me, right? Okay, but she is going to stitch and these things and make a little Halloween tree on it. It's adorable. I love it. So anyway, this is going to be linked down below if you want to go ahead and do it. But watch Jessica's video. She talks about, she did little Michael's hauls from Michael's. It's this black spooky tree. And these things like stitch up really lickety-split quick. So my friend Spooky was the call word, and Katie Wiscombe, yes, yay, congratulations, Katie. 6155, congratulations. So, and then we had some quilt patterns last week as well. And so I was giving away this cutie fox hollow. It's like a sawtooth star, but bigger and better and fabulous. And so the winner on that is going to be Leslie Kindle 4233. So congratulations, ladies. If you were the winner, please send me an email. Let me know your address and I will get those off in the mail to you lickety split. So that is the stitching slash stuff. Let's dive into quilting. 1, 2. Okay. So last week I told you guys that I had gotten the Sew Sampler box. And I had this whole plan and I have a whole nother video. And I'm not going to repeat what I've said. But what I did do this weekend, this Sunday, I think, well, at least 2 Sundays in a row. So we'll see how long I can actually keep it going. But for the 2 Sundays in a row, I have said no work, which is kind of odd for me, but no work. Even though I'm in my studio, I want studio fun time, right? So I have, for the last 2 Sundays, done quilting. I did the Peaceful Baskets quilt blocks one Sunday. It's so fun. Yes. And then, so then my quilting bug like bit me in the butt. And so then this past Sunday, I worked on the Verbena quilt block pattern thing that came in the Fat Quarter Shop August box. Now I keep everything, as I was showing you without telling you, and the lids pop off, by the way, is in those 12-inch scrapbook boxes you get at Michael's. I went to Michael's and I bought 10 more of them. They were on like 50% off sale, and then I had rewards and all the things. So great. And that's what I do is I keep all my quilts that are not like, because I have to put them away because I work on them on Sunday, and because then my studio becomes like the office for the week, Monday through Friday, I have to put the fun away and it can't be on my table. So these are great for me to put them away. I also have a different way of organizing, which I'm going to show you for quilt blocks number 2. Organizing is so much fun. Okay, anyway, so let me dig down into it. So I worked on this, let's say 3 or 4 hours. And so I keep the extra fabric in there just because I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the sashing. So what I did do is I did all the blocks that look like this. This was step 1 in the, let me show you the quilt. Do you want to see the quilt first? Let me find the pattern just in case you're like new here. This is the Verbena quilt pattern. It's available from Fat Quarter Shop. I will link it down below. You can go and grab last I checked, there were still some extra August Sew Sampler boxes. So I will link them, as well as if you want to just like a la carte it, you can get the chart, the pattern, and the layer cake, and then make your own accent fabric. I talked about my accent fabric and all the things, or you can buy the kit. They also sell the kit that if you want to just do it just like them. I am not doing it just like them. I went and bought fabric. Anyway, we talked about that last week, but I did get, there was, I don't know however many of these I needed to do, which has this cute, now I can't unsee it. This is the kitty little orange. And then the cross stitch in the middle, that's my background, so fun. I'm kind of thinking, how am I going to quilt this? Because it's got a big chunk of negative space, right? And I'm usually just a free motion quilter, just a, swirly whirly gig, because there's a lot going on the quilt top. Well, this has a lot of negative space. I don't want to call it dead space, but it's kind of let your eye rest, negative space. That's a big block. And so I don't know, we shall see whether I'm going to draw some kind of like orange peel pattern in there to quilt. We'll see how much time I'm going to actually commit to the quilting, whether I'm just going to do my swirly whirly free motion just to get her off the quilting long arm machine and go. So I do long arm my own quilts. But like I said, it's just a swirly whirly. We'll see if and then there's some of these. So those are all done. And then, okay, so we talked about this last week and it's still true. Circles are not my favorite. That's just facts. I can sew a straight line all day long. And I do really when I make keepers all day long. I sew straight lines. I can do a little bit of swirly whirlies on the long arms. Like I can, but circle sewing on a quilt block. But I did it. So there's going to be 12 of these first of all, you use this handy dandy, I've never used it, the clammy 6-inch tool. So that is what you use. Now, I am going to do a sew sampler box, another one this month when I get the September box. Hopefully this is done, or at least the quilt top is done. If not, we'll talk about where we are, because I do have some tips and tricks based on the fabric or the pattern that came with it. The way they have you, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but like this piece right here, this is scrap. Now, I did something to it already. As you can see, it's a half square triangle. But they didn't tell you, you don't need that. You're not using it. It's all the things. Do you see how many? Like that would have been scrap fabric. I don't do that. When I take it one step further, and I'll tell you more about it later on, but just stay tuned. So actually, we're going to talk about it now, just in case you're going to do the quilt. I don't want you to miss this step because I really think it just blows my mind. I don't know. I always just think bigger all the way to the end when I'm sewing. So for example, this quilt block, this is what you do first, is you sew this. And I'm not going to give away the pattern. I'm not going to give you the dimensions, and I'm going to tell you all the things. But you can see, if you're a quilter, you can see how this goes together, right? Because they had you cut squares and not half square triangles. So because of the way they tell you to sew the pattern, in the pattern, you end up cutting off this many pieces. So it would be that many triangles of orange and triangles of your neutral. But while I was sewing it, because first of all, once it's triangles and it's in a scrap, I'm not going to use it. And I know that about myself. But while I'm sewing it, if I think about it and I take it one step further, then what I ended up making, I think, is 48 half square triangles. And they're big. Let's see how big they are. 1, 2. They are, and I haven't trimmed them down, so I will have to trim them because I didn't do this exact. They're 5.5 to 6 between 5 and 6 inches. So I probably will trim them all down to 5, just so they're all uniform. I haven't done that. I haven't opened them. I just did it. So when I was sewing, following the directions and sewing this line, and you trim it off, before you trim it off, go a 1/2 inch over, sew one more line, so that when you trim it, you end up with a half square triangle as your scrap. Yes. So I've got 48 half square triangle scraps that I'm going to make probably, I haven't decided, but I have to do some, fun playing with half square triangles. These are the most easy, like the ingredient to a quilt block. A half square triangle is a staple in the world of quilt blocking. So I'm going to take this quilt block and probably make a super funky quilt block. It's going to be gigantic because, like I said, these are going to be 5 inch. So if I make it like a 5 by 5, so that's going to be like 25 inches wide by 25 inches wide, give or take seam allowances, all the things. And I have to come up with the pattern. But the back of my quilt, that's the point of the stories. I'm going to make this great, fabulous statement block on the quilt back with my scraps. Yeah. Now, I do have more scraps. These are the scraps that are left over from the layer cake. Like, that's a lot. which is great, So you use a layer cake, you cut it into circles. I also have these scraps. Now these are the actually those aren't scraps, those are blocks I haven't put together. Just kidding. So those are blocks that I haven't put together. But these are all the scraps that are left over from the layer cake. It's a lot. They're like 3 or 4 inch strips. So I'm one of those persons on my quilt back, I'm going to use everything in this box. That's why I keep it all in the box. Super handy, fabulous. Back to the circles. So that's just my little tip on if you're going to sew this, the way that they tell you to sew it go one step further, close up your triangle. You're going to get like 48, I think. Could be 45 because some of them are only 3 triangles. You're going to get a lot of half square triangles, and then we're going to make a fun block on the back. I'm going to make a fun block on the back, and of course I'll share it with you. Here is the statement verbena flower petal. I guess it's supposed to be like flower petal. Again, I've got this open negative space that I just feel needs a little bit more of a statement rather than my swirly whirly. Now, the other thing that I did that's different, in case you're looking and you're like, what? That doesn't look. So I've done 6 of them. You have to do 12. I've done 6. It was one of those things. It's kind of like my stitching where I give myself okay, this is not your favorite, but buckle up, buttercup, we're getting it done. So I did 6. And so this Sunday, as long as things go the way they should, I will do the other 6, and that's that. Now, my accent fabric and the sashing fabric is coming. I ordered it from Fat Quarter Shop. That is being delivered on Saturday. So just in time for Quilting Sunday. So the other thing I want to show you, so let me just show you the blocks as I'm talking, is I mixed and matched mine a little different than they do. So if you look at the cover of theirs, they put all the rusts together and they put the blues together kind of to make like a blue flower and a rust flower and a mustardy flower. I didn't want that. I wanted it more, it's not scrappy, but I liked the movement of the color all around. So let me show you the picture just one more time so you can be like, what are you talking about? Yes. Okay. So just so you can see all the blues together and all the mustards together and all the rusts together. That's how they did it in their quilt. I didn't do that. I mixed and matched, for the most part, blues and rusts, or blues and not blues, really, because sometimes the mustard comes in. So there's a blue offset and then the must. And then when I put them in the quilt, I'm going to anchor them. So not all the blues will be going horizontal. And anyway, we'll talk about that with the quilt construction. This is the hot mess, but that is the quilt I have worked on, and hopefully we'll have an update, maybe a quilt top next week. Now, last week I showed you guys a London of Liberty of London. Yeah. Layer cake and fabric that I had bought for a different quilt top. But I couldn't start that one until I did the verbena. But then this week, so I'm Zooming. I actually missed the Zoom call, but I'm on this group text with a bunch of my friends. And unbeknownst to me, I wake up the next morning after the Zoom because life happened and I missed seeing their smiling faces. But I learned the next morning that the ladies are going to start a swoon. They were swooning all night on Tuesday night. I missed it. So sad. But that we're going to do a swoon along. Yes. And so what does that mean? So a lot of them are quilters, and I'm not going to rattle their names off because I will inevitably miss one, and nobody wants that. So I will tag everybody down below. I will go check out my Instagram. You will see there's a graphic. There's a swoon along graphic that has all of our names on it. We're inviting anybody and everybody who wants to swoon with us. Come on down. What we are doing is we're starting October 1. So you have some time to get your fabric picked out. We're going to do 3 blocks. So let's talk about the details first. The Swoon 16. Now, I've actually done a swoon quilt. Should we grab it? The magic of video editing and the fact that some of my quilts are up top right here. And I could see that the swoon quilt that I have done, I'm going to say 10 years ago. I don't know when this pattern first came out. Well, this one's from 2015, the Swoon 16. So 10 is probably totally accurate. I did the original swoon. Now the swoon is a Camille Ross Kelly pattern, and it's just what she calls, it's a swoon block. So you can see right here, this is a gigantic Swoon block, right? So this is my Swoon quilt that I did, I'm gonna say 10 years ago. I have no idea. Unfortunately, this is way before I was telling anybody what I was doing. I was just doing it. So I have no idea what fabric this is. As you can see, it's like a wintry themed, fun. But this is the original Swoon. So you see how big that block is compared to my, so I did back y'all up. Okay, hold on, let's see. So it's a 3x3, no. Yeah, 3x3. So they're huge, but you see how big that block is? Ooh, big block. Okay, so that's my Swoon quilt. Oh, and I put fun. So this was definitely when my kids were little. I put a fun flannel back because it's just soft, it's cozy, it's winter. We're pulling it out when it's cold outside. So this one gets lots of use, but it gets put away when it's not winter time. It's not Christmas time. It doesn't stay out all the time. Anyway, so that's my Swoon quilt. I love it. I hesitate to say the word easy because easy is not the word I would use to describe it. It is straightforward and it is a time-consuming block. Let's go back to it, shall we? It is a time-consuming block. Do you see all the points? There's lots of points. There's lots of intersections. There's half square triangles. There's flying geese. There's a sawtooth star in the middle. There's a background. And it's a huge block. Okay, but that's the original Swoon. So the girls, the Swoon along is for the Swoon 16. So I probably would have done the bigger one. Maybe I will. But no, I won't. I'm going to do what the girls are doing. So what this is it's a Swoon block, but it's the smaller version. So you get to do all the work, but more blocks, more cutting because the pieces are smaller. So if you want to try, maybe do the Swoon original. It's a beautiful block. It's just bigger. Anyway, we're doing this Swoon 16. This is going to measure 74 by 74 as is. It's a 16-inch block. And when you're going to make see, it's a 4x4. That was a 3x3. This is a 4x4. I have no idea what the size on that is. I don't remember. I could probably look it up. But this is a pattern from Thimble Blossoms. So you can get it. I will link their website down below. It's a PDF pattern. You can download it again because it's from 2015. So you might actually have it in your stash or one of the other Swoon blocks from your stash if you've been a quilter for a while. But you can buy the PDF from their website. So what we're going to do is we're doing this Swoon along and starts October 1st. And the plan is to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 1. They said 3 blocks per week. So I wasn't, like I said, I missed the Zoom. So I'm not quite sure of the timeline exactly. I think it's by the holiday season. Listen, go at your own pace. There's no quilt police either. So do what you want to do. But the great thing about this is it's fat quarter friendly. As you can see, I love some fat quarters. So it's fat quarter friendly. You need 16 fat quarters, 1.5 yards of the sashing. So this blue sashing. 3 yards of the background fabric, binding and backing. So if you are a quilter or collector of fabric in any shape or form, you probably have some fat quarters. So once I heard that the girls were doing this, I was like, I'm totally in. I need another quilt to do. Sure. So, and 3 blocks per week. Add that to my Quilting Sunday, no problem. It'll be great. Maybe I might pre-cut. Shh, don't tell them, right? I might pre-cut before October 1st because I have found, I like cutting as long as you have the right tools, but I like cutting. But if you pre-cut and you use those scrapbook boxes or you use and you use these project boards from Lori Holt, which I have 10-inch and 14-inch. They are my favorite. I will link them down below, especially because you have to mix and match and put the things. So I might cut and match my 16 blocks, or at least maybe half, so that all the pieces are ready to go. And to be honest, I'm a huge batch quilter. So once I've done it once, twice, 3 times, it's easy. What's another 16 blocks? It'll be great. It'll be great. So that is what we're going to do. But do you want to see what fabric? So I might have played hooky, or actually I'm going to call it a long lunch. The good news is I'm my own boss. So no, but I'm not in trouble. I took a long lunch one day this week after I found out, and I went shopping in my stash I figured fat quarters, I don't need to go to the fabric store. I mean, I could, but I can at least find the fat quarters, right, to do this quilt. So because my original Swoon block quilt was a winter themed, I didn't want it to be another seasonal quilt. I love a seasonal quilt. I have I'm going to answer some questions. I've gotten some questions both on Instagram, Patreon, lots of questions. So questions at the end as I'm pointing to a quilt top. I love a seasonal quilt. I have a quilt top. I have some to do. But I wanted this quilt to be another year round. It could say you don't really use a quilt in August. It looks pretty in August, but you don't really need it. But it looks pretty. So I didn't want to do a seasonal. I didn't want to do a Christmas theme or any of those other things. But so what I did, and I've just gotten this collection of collections within the last month or so. I think it was dropped late July, early August. So Tilda, if you've been around, Tula and Tilda are my two favorite fabric designers. I love all fabric. I love them all. I love a lot. I love fabric. But Tula and Tilda are two of my favorites. And Tilda just dropped this beautiful Creating Memories seasons bundles. And so there's four seasons, right? Okay, we're with me. There's 4 seasons and there's 4 bundles, but they play so nice. So like this, it's not the full one because you'll see I pulled from it. This is, she's calling this summer. So the blue, it's like blues and taupes and things. I'm not going to show you all the fabrics because we'd be here for days. And this spring is this ochre mustard squashy colored. It had some pinks. You can see I pulled from that. And then the winter, it's not Christmas, but it's red and green, right? Okay. And then autumn is this one right here. It's autumnal. It's very rusty and green. You would think I would have pulled from that one, but I did not because I already have the Verbena one. So what I did, originally I went for this and I was like, oh, beautiful, but not all of them. So then I pulled some from here and so the moral of the story is my 16, look at this. This is all those colors. It's beautiful. So I pulled 16 fat quarters from those 3 bundles. I know it's extra. You don't need to do this. That's just what I did but I mean, I'm going to use these for project bags, for knitting drawstring bags, and more quilts. Like I have no problem using Tilda Stash. So I love the whole Creating Memories fat quarter bundles. You'll see how much I love it a little later. But so what I did is I pulled from each one of those 3, not the autumn one, but the other 3 seasons. And what I did is this is my palette. Now this, remember I was telling you there's another way I organize in my studio, and this is going to be kind of hard for me to show. But have you ever been in a bakery, right? Never worked in a bakery, but I have bakery rolling racks. So around the corner in the storage room behind me, I have those like muffin or cookies or whatever. It's those silver galvanized tray. You could put a cookie sheet on it, or I get these plastic trays that I guess you would put a finished pastry on it. I'm not quite sure. I buy it from a bakery wholesaler. I bought it years ago as a way to store projects. And so like, it's just a different way that I organize my projects because I have a lot of things going on work-wise and fund-wise. Anyway, this is how I did it. I thought it would be pretty for me to show it to you this way. So you can see that they're not all the red and green. And if I tip it too much, it's all just going to fall over. So this is going to be my sashing. So that blue, this was in the winter bundle. It's this beautiful chambray, almost linen texture. It's got the little polka dot. I love it. And then this is actually a Tilda. So if you see right here, this is the whole Tilda solid collection. So that way I can always I pull the color. It's like a color swatch in fabric form. I pull the color so it's not white. It is this beautiful, beautiful creamy ivory that matches Tilda like it's its job. So I pulled that as my fabric swatch, and then I'm gonna have to order my 3 or 4 yard, whatever yardage I need. I'm gonna see if Fat Quarter Shop has it and get that on order. So you can see I just pulled, so I've got some, yeah, here we go, we're falling already. I just have some reds. Here, I'll just show you. I'll try to show you them a little closer so you can see. There's my reds and pinks, right? And then, so you needed 16. So I think, and then there's some blues, but you see the blues have the reds and the pinks, and see there's some roses, and it's got the greens and the teal. So they all, just like I said, play so nice together, even though they're not coordinated. They're not bundles that come together. And like, there's the pink and the green, and you see there's the pink and the red ties with the red, and the blue ties with the blue, and it's just, it's gonna look, I can't wait. I can't wait. So this is my Swoon fabric selection. I will link all those fabrics down below in case you want to like do one just like me. Go and grab the Swoon 16 pattern. I will link all that down below. And then the Tilda blocks are fabulous. So let's talk about the Tilda. Want to? So we're going to segue right into the Tiger Lily shop, make with me, Patreon type of update. So if that's not your jam, no problem. I will see you next time. But if you are interested and want to know what the next make with Tiger Lily is going to be, stay tuned. Let's talk about it. So a couple of weeks ago on my Patreon, I did a poll about what should be the next Make with Tiger Lily project. If you were here in the spring, you know we made that adorable herringbone project bag. So fun. We did a live sew with me, or you could go back and watch the video after the fact. You got a full kit, so you needed nothing material-wise. You needed a sewing machine and scissors and a rotary cutter and, you know, basic tools. But fabric-wise, you needed nothing. Everything came in the kit. So we did that in the spring, and it was so much fun. Like, I wanted to do them all the time. Of course, I've already committed to doing keeper clubs and all the things. So trying to squeeze another make with me in for the fall was a little tricky, but I think I'm going to do it. So I am going to just share with you. I shared a little sneak peek of the patchwork today on my Patreon. But what it is, I'm going to show you a sneak peek of the bag. So, all the details associated with it will be available on Patreon first. So that link is down below. But anyway, we did a poll, and I did like 5 or 6 different projects of what you wanted to make with me next. And the overwhelming winner was the patchwork project bag. Now, I do my patchwork a little different. And it's not, I mean, there's no quilting police, no project bag police. I just do it a little different. And I share with you in this make with me, I'm going to share with you my shortcut on how to get perfect points and how I do it. And it's going to be kitted up. So without further ado, the reason I'm even showing it to you is because I showed you all that gorgeous Tilda. And I was like, I can't show you that and not show you this because it's sitting right here. So I've been prototyping and working. So the kits are going to go on sale sometime next week. I do not have a firm date. Again, Patreon will know first. And there will be some that it's going to be a pre-order kit. So it's not going to be something you order and I ship out immediately. I'm going to pre-order and all the details are going to be released next week. That's where we are. I need to stop spewing because I really don't know the details yet. This is a work in progress. But I thought it would be a fun little teaser to show you the Tilda kit. So this is going to be the Winter Creating Memories Tilda kit. Yes. So maybe you don't want to buy the whole bundle because a whole fabric quarter bundle is a little bit of an investment. But this way you're going to get the kit. And so these are all the Tilda fabrics that are they're not all, I selected probably most of them in this. And you can see it's got the green that was also in the bundle binding. And it's got my nice long pull zippers. Anyway, this is what we're going to do. This is the make with me for the fall. Again, details are forthcoming, but I wanted to sneak peek and show you the fabric. This is going to be one of the fabric choices that is going to be available for you. And the great thing about my kits, are you ready for it? At least the patchwork kits, is they're all going to come pre-cut. Let me show you. I mean, I was sitting there staring at the kits, so I was like, well, I might as well show you. So they're cut. which is half the problem. I mean, it's just work. Like I was just talking about, cutting can be just as long as sewing. So the patchwork kits are going to come the patchwork is going to come pre-cut. So this is going to be one of the kits. And then the other ones, there's going to be fabric choices this time. So last time in the spring, there was one choice. You either like it or you don't, and that's okay. This time there's going to be a couple. I dare not to commit to a number, but more than 3. How about that? More than 3 fabric choices. But the other ones are going to be limited quantities, meaning I have gone and down in this drawer down below, there's some vintage out of print fabric quarter bundles situations that I have been saving for something special. And this is something special. And so I'm super excited. So there's going to be a number of kits that are limited quantity, meaning the fabric is long gone, long out of print. As you know, I love lots of fabrics, so I keep lots of out of print design lines. There's going to be some great stuff in there that you cannot get anymore, but in this kit. So anyway, another one, I have 2 other prototypes, but I'm just going to show you one in case autumn is your jam, because this fox, forget about it. It's adorable. Look at the bunny. So this is going to be one of the other choices. This is going to be my autumn foxy one, but this is going to be one of the limited quantities because this came from my special stash and there's limited quantities of this one as well. But there's going to be multiple, as you can see, they're the same bag, right? The construction's going to be the same. So in the kit, you're going to get your fabric, your foam, your interfacing, your long pull zipper, your coordinating long pull zipper, your printed pattern, as well as video access to the instruction, just like last time. There will also be, just like last time, essential kits, meaning if you buy the one kit and you can add on an essential kit. If you have your own if you've got your own fabric, your own favorite fabric that you want to cut into that you've been saving for something special, you want to make it into a project bag, no problem. But I will give you the foam and the zipper and the interfacing, and all you have to do is you're going to have to cut your own fabrics, but you get to square it up and use the pattern, use the techniques I'm going to teach you, the tips and the tricks to get those perfect points. And as you see, we're also going to quilt, and the quilting on foam is just so squishy. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. Anyway, so that's my little Tiger Lily shop update. I know it's kind of like sporadic, but that's where we are right now. All the information I will share with you guys on, I'll be here next week, maybe a day early because I've got some travel plans and we'll talk about it next week, but I will see you sometime. And that is what I've got for you guys today. So short, sweet, to the point, little stitching, little quilting, little finishing, little bags. I got to get back to work. I played hooky a little too much this week. So Friday is a busy, busy day in the studio working. And so until next time, friends, happy quilting, happy making, happy knitting, happy hooking, happy all the things, and happy stitching.